So we started with why it got disabled. Won't Word work in your laptop? The inconvenience, guys. Let us go with Notepad for today. Okay, so variable. We already discussed variable is name given to memory location, right? For example, I want to store a value of Python in my memory. So, and whenever I want to access, I can access the value called Python with the variable with the variable A. So let's see how it's going to store in memory and how it will represent in memory. Okay. So just consider these are your memory boxes. Okay. And somewhere in memory, even we can't tell like in which location it has to store. So there is one feature with Python. After this, I will explain what is that feature and how it works. Okay. Now Python will store here. Okay. So the value Python will store here and name will given for this memory location as this is how it's going to store. So in memory boxes, it's going to have the content and for that memory box, it's going to have the name A. So this is how it's going to, for example, if you store a value of 10 with a variable name called value, your variable name can be a value. And if you want to give the variable name as B, so it will be like B. And if you want to store some float values, 100.1, so you can give the name as C. So this is how. So in boxes, you can see the content and you can see the names as well. Now, if you want to access the value 10, simply you can access it by using B, like the variable name. Like simply, you can give print B. So that what it will do, it will go to the memory location. It will check which memory location named with the variable B. Okay, and then it will print the data. Now here you can get it down. For example, first time you give a value B equals to 10. Next time you changed it, B is equals to 100. At that time what will happen? The value going to override. Okay, now in place of 10, 100 will be stored. So same with the memory location. Now instead of for 10 here, 100 will be there. So whenever you again assign some data, so the first value will be override by the second value, and in your memory as well, the first value will be override by the second value. And next time if you print B, you can see the value of 100. Okay. Here.
Yes, clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So here I will tell you an important feature is that how memory is managed in Python. Very important thing, and we should understand as well how memory going to manage in Python. So we no need to take care of memory management in Python. Memory management automatically managed by Python. Okay. So how it's going to be, I will tell here. Okay. Now you created a variable called val and you assign some data to that. Okay, I assign some value called 245 to that. Whenever you created a variable, automatically Python memory management won't like how to say won't allocate memory to this variable. Okay, won't allocate memory to this variable. First, what it will do, it will go to the memory and it will check is there any variable name with this name val. Okay, any variable name is there already defined or not. So if that variable name is not defined, then it will allocate a new memory. But if variable name already there, it will overwrite the content in that. Or it will reallocate, or reuse the memory. Clear? If the variable name or if the object name, we can consider as object as well, because in Python we are going to consider everything as object. Okay, just keep that point in your mind. I will tell why we are going to consider it as object. I will tell later. But in Python, everything we are going to consider as an object. So whenever you are creating some variable or whenever you are creating some data, first it will go to the memory and it will check if that object already exists or not. If that already exists, it's going to reuse the memory. If already doesn't exist, then only it's going to allocate memory to that object. Clear?
Yes, clear.
If you see, first you created B. So B doesn't exist. B object doesn't exist in memory. So it created in new memory for that. And second time, whenever you again use the B variable with a new value, so it won't create a new memory address. It reused and it override the data in that memory location. Okay, this is
Okay.
how memory management happen in Python. Okay, and like a garbage collector is there. So some like we are going to have some unused memory locations, right? So it's going to collect all those unused memory and it will make it use for us. So garbage collector is there. I will explain in next class. We have some module for that to use garbage collector. So I will explain it later. But this is how memory management happen in Python. Okay, and here we have some rules for defining variable name. We have some rules. Okay, so variable name should start with alphabetics or underscore. Alphabetics or underscore. Apart from these things, if you start your variable name with the numbers or any special characters, it's going to throw you an error. Just a second. I will execute and show. I'm not sure if we have Visual Studio Code here. We don't have. I have to install it. Let me do it later. Let us go to Chrome. Here for now I'm going to use Python online compiler. Just I want to show you practically. Okay, so you created a variable name underscore a, and if you print it, it works fine for you. And then if you create a variable with starting with any digit, okay, automatically it's gonna throw an error for us. Let's wait for the output. See, it throw an error for us. Syntax error, invalid decimal literal. So if you give an invalid variable name, it's going to throw you syntax error. Okay.
Okay.
But first it should print here, right? I don't know why it's directly jumping to this line. I will tell you later, but this is not. Even you shouldn't start with any special character like hash. So hash will be comment. So you can use at the rate and run. So again, it's gonna throw and syntax error. Okay. So you should start a variable name with the underscore or with alpha.
Underscore.
Okay. Then you shouldn't start
But
with.
it has to print the A, right, Mansa?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. I'm running it in online compiler, right? That's why I'm not sure why it's not giving that output. So tomorrow we can try the same code in Visual Studio Code and see. Okay. It shouldn't do.
Okay.
It should print the value of 10 and then it should go to this errand because it's executing line by line, right? So
Yeah.
I will tell it tomorrow by executing in Visual Studio Code. Okay. And variable name should contain alphabetics, numeric means digits from 0 to 10, and underscore. Apart from these things, it won't allow any other special characters, even in middle of the name as well. For example, come here. So here 1, 2, 3. This is valid. Okay. So this is valid. But apart from these things, if you have any special characters, $1, if you run it, so it's telling invalid syntax because it
Syntax. I
only
know.
allows numbers, then alphabetics and underscores even within the name of the variable. Apart from these things, it won't allow any other things. Okay. And one more is so Python is case sensitive language. So you might heard like Java is case insensitive, and I think mainframes as well case insensitive only. I think so. I'm not sure. But when it's come to Python, it is case sensitive language. So I will tell you what is the like what is case sensitive. Case sensitive in the sense if you create variable A, okay, by mistake you try to print with capital A.
Okay.
At the time, it will treat small a as one variable, capital A as another variable. Both are not same. If you change the case, it will treat it as completely different variable. Even you have val as your variable, and even if you change a single character to uppercase, it will consider this val as different variable.
Another variable is.
Okay, so this is case sensitive. If you change the case, it will consider completely as a new variable. Okay, let's see. Now we'll just create a variable. And if you print, just I changed V, and if you run, it's gonna throw name error for us because if you see name val is not defined. Did you mean val? So you defined a variable called VAL, all small cases. But you were trying to print a variable called capital VAL, which is not defined. You didn't define this variable name anywhere, and you are trying to access it. At the time, it's going to throw you name error. Name error means the variable or the function or the class name, whatever it is, you not yet defined, but you are trying to access it. At the time, it's going to throw
Access.
name error. Okay, remember till now we saw syntax error, and this one is name error. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, clear this.
I'm expecting response from everybody.
Yeah, clear, Mansa.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody knows, like in every language, we have predefined keywords. We can say reserved words. For example, in mainframes, you have a display, something like, and in the same way in Java, you have some if conditions, import. So these are all predefined keywords. Predefined keywords in the sense for that keyword, some definition is already there, and just based on your requirement, if that definition matches, you can use it. You no need to implement any code separately for that. So in the same way, we have a few keywords in Python. We can say reserved words, keywords. So those keywords we can't use as variable name. For example, you already know if, everybody know if is there in Java and mainframes. If is a keyword, it's already has some purpose. If you want to make any decision, or if you want to check if the condition satisfies, then only if you want to execute some data or some content, then you are using that if. Now,
Yes.
if you try to create a variable called if, and if you run the code, it's gonna throw an error, syntax error. Because if it's a reserved keywords, and those reserved keywords
Oh,
we can't use as variable names.
variables. Okay.
Any doubts? Clear, guys? And in Python, we have totally
Yes. Yes.
33 keywords. Okay, 33 keywords. I will share those
30.
keywords later. Okay, 33 keywords we have in Python.
Okay.
So this is about variables. Then I'm going to discuss about input-output statements in Python. Okay, so input-output statements. So as the name suggests, so input means if you want to give some data, output which prints the data. Okay. So in different languages, we have different kinds of uh, methods to take the input and output. Like in mainframes, if we accept it, it will take the user input. And yeah, like in, how to say, in this Java, they might use some scanner class and all. I'm not aware. Okay, for output, you are using
Mm.
this and the system.out.println in Java. So in the same way, we have very simple methods in Python to accept the user input and to print the data in the console. Okay. So for this input, we have a method called input. The method name itself input, which accepts user input, means user data. Okay, let's see. Till now, you select, I already like at a time itself while like, I'm assigning the data constantly. And if I want to change the data, I have to come to code and I have to change that. But instead of if I want to execute user input, for example, you are filling some application form. So you have some application form. For example, for writing MSET, multiple students going to register. So each student data is different. Correct. So each time, every time,
Yes.
if some students admit the data, you have to accept it and you have to store it somewhere. So you can't change the data by going to the backend code. Okay, you are just accepting and you are storing. Right. So here where
Yeah.
this input method came into picture. Okay. So just create a variable and here you can have your method called input. So simply you can give input and you can give a, so print is like output method. So if you give print and whatever you are trying to print, the same thing will you can see in your output screen. Okay. Now if you run the code here, the cursor is going
The
to
blank line.
for the user input. Okay. Here the cursor is waiting. If you see, the cursor is keep on waiting for the user input. If you provide some user input and if you give enter, it's going to print you the next statements. It will go to the next statements and it will execute. This is how you can get user input. And for example, like you want to tell, so here you have to give name, here you have to give age, here you have to give your address. Like that, if you want to mention inside this input in double quotes, you can mention like enter name.
Enter your name. Mm.
Banu, like I'm telling, right?
Yeah.
If I have something, then
Yes.
you can respond. If you have any doubts, or if I ask something, then you can respond. If I'm telling something, don't talk in middle. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, sister.
So here, if you give like enter name, then the user can understand. Okay, this is where this is somewhere. This is where I have to give my name, And if you create one more variable, b input, enter age. Okay, so here where I can mention my age. So like this, if we give some prompt so that user can understand what data they have to enter. If you see previous thing, the cursor is waiting, but I'm a new person. I don't know what to enter there. But the cursor is waiting. I'm not getting anything as output. So if you give such kind of prompts, then the user can understand. Now if you click on run, so first input statement will come, enter name. So you can give your name. And if you give enter, then if you have one more input statement, it will ask enter your age. And if you give enter, so whatever print statements are there, it's going to print it. Okay. And for example, you want to tell, okay, this is name, my name is, and such kind of data you want to print along with the user inserted data, you want to print such kind of thing. At that time, what you are going to do, you have to use the double quotes, and inside the double quotes, whatever content you want to print as it is in the console or output screen, you can mention it in double quotes. For example, my name is, so this one I want to, and you can concatenate the content you want to display and the variable name using comma. Okay. Okay. Now, if you run the code, so Manasa, enter each, and then you can see my name is. So this is how you can make sense of the input statement. Clear? If you
Yes,
want
sir, clear.
to concatenate some other content, like just you can separate them with comma. So here, like a comma is the kind of concatenate operator in print. Comma, the variable. Just run it. Now you can see my name is Mansa, my age is 25. This is how you can make it interactive. This is how you can make it a user can understand what input you are taking and what output you are printing. Okay. Even we can see right in application forms. So this box is for name, this box is for age, this box is for address, like that. So this is what. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Comma is used to concatenation, right?
In print
Uh,
statement, not in
Print
all
statement only.
print statement only.
Okay.
So comma is a concatenate operator. So many things are there while working with strings. We can see few more formatting strings for print statement. Format is there. So different things are there. I will explain later. Okay. This is input output statement. For example, here I forgot to tell one thing. So automatically input a statement going to take the data as string. Okay. Here you passed as 25. So 25, our age is always number. But if you try to check the type of data of B variable, then it's gonna give you a string because input always going to consider the data as string. Okay. To check the type of the data that being stored in a variable, you can use the method, inbuilt method called type. Print type of that variable name you have to pass as a parameter. And if you run, again I have to give, see class str stands for string. So it's telling, so the variable b is of type string, but you passed a numeric. It should be some kind of integer, right? But it's showing as string. So what you have to do, you have to convert it to integer type. Here just I will give an example how to convert to integer type, and later on we can see type conversions. So that concept is there, we can discuss. So if you want to convert the input data to int type, you have a method called int, inbuilt method called int. So to that int, you have to pass your input. Now if you run see, it converted to int because you are using the type conversion method called int, and to that int method you are passing your input statement. That's why it's converting to int. Okay. So to check the type of data that being stored in a variable, you can use the type. Okay. And one more is there, one more inbuilt method. If you want to know the memory address of a variable, you have a inbuilt method called id of that variable. If you run, it's going to give you the memory address of the variable. So this is the memory address of variable e. Okay. Clear, guys? Any doubts? Now you can talk.
Yes, sister.
I'm done with the concept that I want to cover today. If anybody has any doubts, they can rise and they can ask. And if I have to repeat something, I can repeat. Let me stop the recording so that we can discuss the doubts.